our own spaces, what is it that we can do more to end child labor or to end this? So that these are not just discussions that you keep on, like what you say, that it's a discussion that we keep on having over and over. So we might have it today, and I'm hoping even as partners, as NIA, that this becomes our starting point, that when we start these conversations, we sustain them, and we continue questioning ourselves, we continue questioning our work and all. So maybe I could start with Maono, Kenny, just also to speak about what you're noticing, what you're observing, and the kind of responses that you're already providing.
Thank you so much, Ruth. I'm Ken Owili, Program Manager for Executive Director for Maono Africa. First and foremost, karibuni. Feel welcome, feel invited. So I want to focus on solutions, because as we are addressing the issues of child labor, and rightly you have said, Ruth, that what are some of the solutions that we are offering as organization? One, as Maono, we have created a safe space here where we are. There's a safe space, a recreation facility for young people. We all know, and Madam Government, our sub-county children officer knows quite well, Dandora, there are so many children who are actually out of school. And the big question is, what are they doing when they're out of school? Where are they going when they're out of school? What is the engagement when they're out of schools? So, as Maono, we decided, yes, to curb this idleness, to curb the issue of child labor, why don't you offer space for them where instead of just being at home, just sitting and being lost in thoughts, they're able to come in our space. We sit together with their peers. They're able to share their experiences. We're able to have talks with them. We're able to at least engage them constructively as an organization. So that is one area that we are one that youth are passionate about. Then we are able to engage them in these activities. So the moment a young person or a child is actually passionate about football, it will be very hard for this child to start thinking about the issue of going to look for exploitative work outside there. So that is one area. Another area that we are working on as an organization. Dandora is actually known as a low-income area, which by the last statistics had employed over 6,000 children. I don't know the current statistics, but given the economic times, I think the number is trying to come up with innovative ways on how we're able to address these young people. So activity 3 that we are doing, we are focusing so much on is on creation of awareness, which a good number of us have talked about. But as we are using sports and art as an intervention. So we have a theater team that has been working around all the locations within Dandora. We focus so much on populated areas, like the renowned places within Dandora that we know there are big populations. So each and every weekend, we carry out these activities during the weekend, the days that we know that most parents, most guardians and caregivers are actually within the estate. So we educate them on issues of child domestic work, on issues of child labor. We have conversations with them after we have done a skit or we have done a play. We engage them just to hear what is their perception, what is their mindset, what is their knowledge on issues regarding to child labor. So those are some of the key areas that we are focusing on as an organization. Just try to curb this issue of child labor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for this opportunity. My name is Mariam. I'm from Azadi, Kenya. And Azadi is a survivor-led organization that focuses on building a community and long-term support for survivors of human trafficking. And we are also engaging with child domestic workers. We started last year. It was not something that we were doing, but seeing how this work also puts children at the risk of being trafficked, we started engaging with child domestic workers. And for us, we are looking at empowering the children themselves, because as we say, there's this article that the children can work for light work, but children don't know that. Children don't know that they are being abused and that they are being used. And sometimes we just say we educate the parents, we educate the community. What about these kids? They don't have the information. They don't know where to go if this happens to them. They have no idea of what is even happening to them. Some of them are very young from the group that we are working with now. And what we are doing as an organization, we created a curriculum for the kids where we train them life skill courses, and we provide mental health training. And we also provide activities such as yoga and Zumba, and all this is just to build their capacity and to train them so that they can be trainers to other kids, because it's them that they know what they are going through rather than other people. Even as we are looking at training parents and the community at large, we should not overlook the kids themselves, because if they have the information, it will be very hard for them to be lied to or be cheated by people. The way we say that someone from the village can trick a child, that they're taking them to school, and it's not even in the village, it happens even here in Nairobi. And when these kids have the information and they're educated on such stuff, it will be very impactful to other kids as well, because even when they see, sometimes adults can see and can ignore, but when that child has the information, they can see a child going to someone that has promised them work and they can tell them no. Because I also went through the same and I was lied to, and this is what I can tell you. And you can see it will be holistic, because it will not only be based on the adults and the community without involving the children. And we're looking forward to continuing this program, because the children have really shown great improvements in various areas of their lives through the program. And I'm hoping that in future, with the partners that we have, we can really put an end to child labor.
Thank you so much, Mariam. I know maybe we might have even amongst ourselves, either follow-up questions or just things that we are still grappling with. And I'm just wondering whether we have also within the physical audience that are here, whether they have questions or would want to chip in. I think I would also welcome you to do that. And even since this is something that is being streamed live, if there are questions or comments that are coming through, it would be nice to sort of, even questions to us as partners, working under Freedom Fund on this issue, whether we have, we can be able to respond to those questions. And I would also be looking at Madam Margaret, because I'm sure you might be having also follow-up questions, and rightfully, because you're here as government, you might want to question partners as well. So maybe I could give you that to ask the questions or make comments. And even as we get to the level where I don't know whether we'd be able to break a little bit, then get towards the end. But I would also like to hear the people in the panel, and also the colleagues, friends who are also here physically, to just talk about what individual commitments they can make. The beauty of the journey we started together, and even building this program together on ensuring that we create visibility on the issue of child domestic work, their realities and experiences, was born out of also the desire and the passion to also see some kind of change. So it would also be nice to think, what is my intention as an individual? What's the purpose, So just going by the theme, and on social, justice for all, but also in terms of individual commitment. Nia yangu ni nini? Nia yangu ni kuona nini? Ni kuona kumefanyika nini? So as you give that comment, you just give your own individual commitment of what it is that you can do to create a change. But government. I'll stop calling people, referring people to their institutions. Madam Margaret.
Thank you. Children who know exactly when they are being exploited and how they can be able to defend themselves. For instance, in the government, what we have, maybe I did not speak it at first when I was given a chance, is that we have something known as KCA. KCA is Kenya Children Assembly, whereby children are involved. They're involved in various activities, in particular, spreading the news. They inform other children that it's wrong to work instead of being in school. So they are doing that work through various forums, and they are supported by various organizations that we are working with, the partners, and also the government is involved also. So we are doing our best to make sure that children are aware of the things that concern them, and they know exactly how they can inform others, they can identify that they are being misused, they are being harassed as far as their rights are concerned. Then we also have the Day of the African Child, which is held every year in June. It's about to be held. It will be held on 16th of this month. It also creates awareness on how children's rights should be taken care of. It creates awareness on maybe the rights of the children and what they are supposed to, how they are supposed to identify that their rights are being misused, they are being deprived of their rights, and how they can handle that. So we have various forums, and those are the forums. And maybe in the government also we partnership with our partners in various levels to create awareness, as our partners have said. We create awareness about parenting. We create awareness about child rights. We create awareness about the child labor and such like things. So by so doing, we are trying our best to make sure that child labor is reduced or child abuse is reduced in our country. So I can say that maybe if we continue with this forum, we are going to do something about our children, because so many of them are out, so many families cannot afford life, and because they have given up on life, they choose to abandon their children. So after abandoning their children, they disappear to unknown places, leaving the children in the house alone. So this is something that we need also to create awareness and empower these parents, because some organizations in our area are empowering parents to make sure that they are taking, because of the financial status in our country today, parents are not, maybe young parents are not able to get a job for a way, or maybe like what they are doing. They will be able to earn a living. So once they earn a living, they will not be able to abandon their children. They will take care of their children. So maybe if other partners can also do the same, you look for these young, for the sake of the children they have, you can give them careers. You can educate them. You can take them to vocational trainings. They can be independent by maybe creating a job, maybe by educating them, and maybe sponsoring them, empowering them to start either business or something, so that we can help young mothers to take care of their children, because most of those children who are being abandoned because of the parents not able to take care of their children are these young mothers who are abandoning their children. So these young mothers are stable financially, and by so doing, our children will be safe.
Thank you so much.
Great. Mine is just a concern. Lately, we saw in the news that the government is working on on shutting down children's orphanages. And I think day by day, Madam, you know, we're even discussing in the morning, we receive a lot of...
So there's a bit questions for Margaret. So Margaret, hold on to that question, because maybe there will be some other people who have this similar question or other questions to you or to any of the parents. And I would also encourage for the ones also listening, if you have questions or comments, feel free.
Yeah, just to add on what Ken has said, and also just also another concern when it comes to looking at right now as our government, we say that children below the age of 18 should be in school, that all children should be in school. But I think if schools were made safe spaces for children to run to, because we all understand that most of the children who go through child labor are children out of school. Very few are in school who go through child labor. They're children out of school. And why are children out of school? Children cannot afford being in our schools. Our schools are so expensive, actually, to say. Even community schools are expensive. Even government-sponsored schools, like the primary schools that we talk about every day, they're so expensive. Like every time on Saturday, if a child doesn't have 100 shillings, you cannot go to school. And if you don't go to school on Saturday, on Monday you are sent away from school. And we just look deeply in what we call the free schools, able to access education. And schools can be made safe spaces. I'm still talking about schools being made safe spaces, orphanages and children centers. I don't think we have so many orphanages in this country, but we have a lot of schools which can accommodate our children. But then children don't get access to this school. And that's why children end up even into the orphanages and children going into labor. So I think that is one. The other one is if we make, I'm just looking at still a concern about the government. If the government gives us clear policies, I know we have the best policies in this country concerning children. Like you talk about children, you don't even know how sometimes to help a child. You may think you are helping a child, and the next time you observe this and also didn't observe this. If they could just give us clear policies, even on age, like which age should a child start working? Which age should a child be in school? Which age should a child consent to even the work that they're doing? Which age should a child be given this information? And I think we don't have that clear. Like we are also struggling as people working with child domestic workers on which age should a child, because we have the labor law, we have the Children's Act, we have the Constitution that doesn't, they don't meet somewhere and they don't harmonize. So now I'm told by the children officer that below the age of 18, she's a child. She's not supposed to do any work. When I go to labor, I will be told at 16, she can do work as long as it is work that is light, she can do work. But even that light work, according to the children's department, it's that child should not be in that house doing work. They should be in school. I think if there's just harmony, we have to govern even protecting the children. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe just to add on, the other challenge that we are meeting as partners doing this work, and I think I'd like to thank maybe Freedom Fund for an opportunity like this to talk about these issues, so that we are able to maybe share ideas and be able to look at our way forward in how we assist the children. The other one is us as partners, and what has also worked, for example, partners under Freedom Fund. We've been coming together, working together to support these particular children, not looking at each other as rivals, but looking at each other as partners who support these children. For example, we've partnered with Azadi and Maisha and empowering the girls, so that we don't have to duplicate work, but instead replicate the kind of activities we are doing. And then maybe talk about what government can do, because you find that, for example, as my colleague has mentioned, you'll take a case to court of maybe this child is in domestic work, and at the same time the child has been abused sexually. So, and you find that the perpetrator is released and comes back to the community, and this child is still in this particular community. You've not been able maybe to get the child out of that particular community. You see, this particular child and the family is threatened. So some of these things, if we can maybe work around harmonizing some of these laws so that somebody who has abused a child sexually doesn't get it easy to get a bond and be out. The bond should be maybe made higher, so that when somebody thinks about the bond, it doesn't work for them. And then some of the cases also take too long in the courts, and you find that some of the parents have given up following up on the cases because it's taking too long. They're making so many court appearances, and they're not seeing the cases moving forward. So maybe as able to maybe support the children's court, maybe to have more judges so that they can move the cases slightly faster. And then also we have these, it's called the court users committees also. Maybe if we can, as partners, maybe work with them so that they too can also help us, because sometimes as an organization, you might not be well versed in maybe some of these laws, and you're pushing in a case, but you find that there are certain loopholes that you did not see as you because sometimes as people working with the children, we are also touched as a parent when you're working on the case. So that emotional attachment, you find that you're not able to maybe look at certain loopholes. So the lawyers, maybe for the perpetrators, take advantage of such technical issues and are able to maybe get the case, the perpetrator out, and the child is still in the community and they're still suffering. So if maybe we can work together on this particular aspect of maybe the case being delayed, taking too long, and then the kangaroo courts also, this can also help us in assisting the children so much. Thank you.
I had also an input, and if we look at how technical colleges came to be, and issues around vocational training and recruiting the people then to domestic workers, house helps as we call them, do not have the necessary skills to, especially in accessing knowledge and information, that puts them at a lot of vulnerability. So you can imagine children within this sector. And it is also what we are looking into, making the work recognized. Because a lot of exploitation comes when people do not know what they are getting into. And in this case, you find that even as we engage children, and the truth of the matter is that the children are being engaged in this work. It's only that the communities do not know that we are engaging them in labor. We tend to assume that it is part, by extension, a role that as an adult I'm supposed to administer to our children, especially when I'm engaging them. So you find that it is there, and children are being engaged from the point of they do not. A lot has to be done on recognizing that we have children. And going by where we are globally, the current trends in employment, we will get into, and the circumstances that push children to get into work. Besides just, poverty line, you can have a parent who's incapacitated, like I said, and they want the children to bring in income in the house. We may have a scenario whereby we just have parents who do not see value in education, and they do not see a need of taking their children to school, and they do not put any effort into it. Then what can we do to these children that really want to work but they need the work to be regulated. Do we just say that we are ending this, or we put some decency in the work that they are doing? And that is now where we come in, that we recognize that they are working to support their parents who do not have, enough income. But how again can we ensure that it is being supervised, it is being regulated? Entry into that work, the children have assented to it. They've been taken through terms of engagement. They know that this is the much that I can do, and when it exceeds what I'm supposed to do, then I should say no to it. What I'm getting in return is something of worth, not being exploited because I've just been taken advantage of as a child. So I think that because it is there, and we look at child labor, it has been there from the times of slavery, then how can we ensure that even as children get into this, they are protected? And all their rights as a child, all their labor rights is also being put into consideration, so that we don't end up with, occupational hazards for the children that are again putting them at higher risks of, health-wise, psychologically, physically. They are also becoming unfit to work. And we are not even promoting them to grade. We know they started as nobody. We will say that as an institution, we want to see that children are given rights to work. But again, even as they go to work, then the work is decent. And when they encounter challenges, then they have a right to, to be heard and be represented. And in the long term, we can even say they are allowed their freedom of association by getting into the union and be represented fully as workers. Especially looking at that, 13 to 16 years of age, because we're also looking at children who've completed school at an early age, and they are, allowed to work. But with the Children's Act, is someone taking advantage of them because they think they've not attained the age bracket? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. I don't know whether I'm hearing you saying that when you're talking about ending, for you it's not so much of ending, but giving an entry, because here you're appreciating the realities that are there. We are having children who are in these spaces and working as domestic workers. But if we have the proper regulations, we have proper structures, then allowing that, particularly those who are allowable according to the law to work, the 13-16. But then the fear is, or the worry is that we might be open, but maybe this is just being, whether that then opening again loopholes if we haven't made proper structures, Yeah, but I also hear you, since you're speaking here with authority, as Kude here, that then if this is your commitment, that ensuring that at least if these 13, 16-year-olds are allowed to work, then we can strengthen the protection system. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, wonderful. Margaret, there were questions that were posed to you, and I think it will be fair enough if we could be able to clarify more, particularly on the shelters. And I think the question that was also coming from you on education, what is free, really? I think here you'll be answering on the behalf of the Ministry of Education, but since you're here.
You talked of CCIs being closed. It was Kenya. The government has care reforms, and we are working on them. And it has time frame. It will take us 10 years for it to be implemented. So it's not something that is going to be done right away. It's something that the government is thinking of doing gradually. So what we have started doing is that most of the children in those children's homes, they have families. And for those who don't have families, they have relatives. So what we are doing right now is to identify those children. After linking them with the families, we'll have family conferencing. We'll have about 3 family conferencing, whereby we'll discuss with the parents and agree that this child is theirs and there is need for this child to be raised in a family. So if we find that maybe the family is not well off, is not capable of taking care of this child, the government is having partners who are assisting these families to at least to capacity build them so that they can have maybe a source of income, whereby after having maybe a business or something to bring income, then this child is reintegrated back home. So it's not that we are coming up with these reforms to remove the children. One day we wake up in the morning and return all the children back home. No, we are working with the partners who are assisting us in maybe creating that bond first. After creating, first we start by identifying these homes. We identify these parents, the guardians. Then we talk to them. We have conferences together. After having conferences together, we agree that the best place this child can be taken good care of is at home, within the family. So after doing that, if the family is not well, that's when the partners and the government is coming together to build this, the capacity of this home. Then from there, we reintegrate the child. At the same time, the child is being prepared that we have found your family, and now we want you to reunite with your family, and it will not be at once. We'll walk with you. We go first, see the home, and come back, and then go and see the home and next time, and come back. The third time, if the child is comfortable, that's when the child is taken back home. And then the child is not just taken home like that. There are organizations which are assisting us, especially where we have started care reforms in Kasarani. These organizations are assisting us to even buy, and it's going to take place gradually. It's not at once. So I don't think we are going to close all the homes at a go. It will go slowly by slowly, and then those who will not be, maybe those whom will not be able to get relatives, what we are doing, the government is going to identify foster parents who are going to be registered under the government, and these people will agree that they will be at a position of having children, especially those children who are not their relatives, into their homes. So we are planning to have foster parents, and with the time we'll have foster parent registers. I don't know whether that's the question, but I heard something about education, and the education is expensive. There is nothing that is not expensive in Kenya. Even the cost of salt went up, which has never been